You know, this whole Queen saga has been an interesting insight into how people see the world around them, you know, because obviously the Queen passed away at the age of 96. She's had a good run. She did, 96. Like, you've lived your best life. My grand passed away at 96. It was the same thing. As a family, obviously you're sad to let somebody go, but it's 96. You celebrate that the person's lived the life. They've lived it fully, you know? And what was fascinating to me was seeing how angry people were that not everybody had the same opinion of the Queen, and how much they wanted other people to have that in a really ignorant way, to be honest, you know? Because the Queen dies. Obviously, there will be people who mourn, you know? There's people who mourn because she symbolizes a nation. There will be people who mourn because they've grown up with her their entire lives. There will be people who mourn because she's a family member, she's a grandmother, she's a mother, whatever we get that. But I'm shocked that people want others who were under the British Empire to share the same level of mourning. Why would they do it? People are like, show some respect. This person died, and people are like, so what? Like everywhere, you know what I mean? All over Africa, you know, all over India, there's so many places in the world where people go, yeah, but do you know what the British Empire did to us? And people are like, but that's somebody's grandmother. Just show some reverence. And I actually found it interesting because I was like, you know what it is most of the time? It's not about respecting the person or what they've done or what they have. In a weird way, it's that people have this strange reverence for fame. You know, it's that a famous person has gone, and so everyone must respect them regardless of what the famous person is famous for. You can't say to people who have been oppressed by the British Crown that they should not in some way, shape, or form say whatever they want. First of all, the person's gone, right? It's not like they're crying wherever they are. They're gone. That's the first thing to admit. Right? And secondly, you can't expect people to show respect for something that never respected them. You know? You can't expect people... You can't expect people to now buy into this idea that never respected or bought into theirs. I mean, the Crown went from country to country. South Africa, we grew up as British subjects in that way, like we still had that impression. In other countries, it was even more pronounced. You know, you go all around the Caribbean, you go to India, you go all over the world, really, everywhere the empire was. And people go, oh, this is why we still have to dress this way. We were told that our clothes were primitive or tribal by the British. You know, our languages were squashed, our cultures were discarded. That wasn't respect. And people are like, yeah, but she's a grandmother. And I go like, yeah, but the people who were her subjects were also grandmothers. You know what I mean? My grandmother literally used to tell me stories about the Queen. Like my grandmother also died at the age of 96. You know, my grandmother lived a very different life to the Queen. And it's not about comparing the people, it's just saying that she had a different perspective of the Queen. Funny enough, my gran never like hated the Queen or anything. I find most African parents and some in like parts of Asia where the empire ruled, they were more shocked than anything else. You know, like older people of color were more just like, what? They're like, the Queen is, wow. This is like it's a moment in time that reminds them of so much and where the country was and how they were in Kenya, South Africa, you know, parts of Southern Africa, or you can feel that people, they still understand that it's a momentous occasion, you know, but you can't expect them to mourn it in the same way. And I think that's something we struggle with in life sometimes, is understanding that our relationship with somebody may not be the relationship that other people had with that person. And that's fine. You can say, hey, this is my Queen. I still love what she represents. Yeah, that's your Queen. But don't expect everybody else to now adopt, because basically what you're doing is now recolonizing the people and being like, this is who you support, this is who you cheer for, this. No. You do your mourning, and they'll live their lives. Long live the King.